welcome everybody to our next, current of course, PMI Netherlands chapter meeting. At FocusCura, I want to thank Stefano for arranging this. Very pleased with that, and of course our host in general will be having a short talk at the beginning to introduce themselves. One thing is, do we have a volunteer that wants to make some notes and that is going to send that into the newsletter of maybe of December, if it's still possible? Just asking always who's writing the notes for the PMI, maybe we can make some kind of a mind map or something like that, some notes. Always nice to have some writer in the newsletter. Always ask that. And now, who's going to be first to really do this? These very important. Our sponsors. Without these sponsors, we cannot have all these nice events. Of course, also hosting companies like FocusCura is one of them, very important. And then we go to the agenda of today. Now, I was looking for a location, and Stefano came up and says, "Hey, maybe you can do it at Amsterdam here at FocusCura." I was very pleased with that. And then we tried to figure out what would be a good theme to talk about. And obviously, Agile is a very hot topic. And then we found out that FocusCura is a very Agile company, very successful Agile company. But they do struggle with something. They struggle with their customers that are not always Agile and working more traditionally. And I'm hoping to learn from them how these two worlds come together. And in that theme, we also found Agile available to talk about the same theme, but now from an Agile coach perspective, what he sees in the world of project management. So that's the agenda for tonight. First, we will start with an introduction of FocusCura. Then we will have the CEO, Raoul Zhao, talking about their experiences. Agile is going to continue after the break, and then we'll have a networking session. Good. We'll leave the agenda here.
Yeah.
And I would like to give the floor first to one of the people from FocusCura, our host, Ruben De Neef, who is the product manager at FocusCura. The company. Is it nice?
Oh, it's great. Yes. Thank you. What else could I have said while walking onto the stage, being the host at FocusCura? But truly, I'll tell you, it's really nice to work here, and I try to put some of the fun I have while working at FocusCura into my short introduction, so hopefully you'll enjoy it too and taste some of it. Yeah, but let's start with a compliment, because, well, basically I think in order to improve, particularly to innovate, it's essential to have an open view to the world around you. And proving by the fact that you're all here today, I think you've proven yourself to be someone who's open to learn from others, and hopefully you'll pick up something from today. Well, at FocusCura, we know there's more to care. Our clients, our customers, are healthcare organizations, and in the last 15 years of helping them to care for the future of care, I think this is one of the main things that we've learned, that there's more to care than just giving care. And we know that it's about the human touch. But we also know that with the upcoming changes in the world, demographics, more people getting living longer, but also in need of more care, it's probably going to be impossible to continue delivering care the way we do it now. And technology might be helping us in order to face that challenge, but technology will always change. And there's one thing that doesn't change, and that is that in order to successfully improve healthcare or anything you're doing, there's more to care than just technology. That is, as you all know, good guidance of a product and taking into account all the people and the resources involved in order to make that change. Well, in order to, and I'll tell you a bit more about the products that we serve at FocusCura, but I won't go into deep. If you're interested, focuscura.com, you can read all about us, and we'll hopefully see you one day again here in Amsterdam or in our office at Driebergen. But we offer products to 130,000 users in the Netherlands. And well, the thing that basically made us grow, made us big, is our personal alarming system. That well, in a way, it's not just about the alarm; it's also about what we offer to our users. And an alarming system in your home also offers freedom, because you have the freedom to keep doing what you always did, to keep living in the home you live, because you know that in case of an emergency, you can make an alarm. The alarm is made for you with sensors, and you know that someone will come and take care of you. Well, in order to be sure that someone can actually enter your home when something is going on, we also have a solution that is helping you on a safe and secure way control who can come in your home and who can't. Well, in case of health, we have a solution that helps patients use their medicines in the way they should, because in the end the biggest cause of things that go wrong around the home is people taking medications the wrong way. And we have C Vitals, which is a telemonitoring solution, also for people who are mostly chronically ill and want to stay independent at home, and they want to be sure, they want the feeling of safety that someone is watching over them, that the healthcare professional is keeping an eye on their vital signs, about how they're doing. And that whenever something's off, that they know that someone will take care of them. And then the last bit is communication. In all of these cases, we want people to be able to be in contact with their care professional, with their whole care network, in a way that is not, well, similar to how it's done now in between office hours. But we want this, and it accounts for everything we do, to be independent of place and time. Because we believe that the future of healthcare is independent of place and time. Well, instead of rattling on, I think there's one thing I really want you to take away from this talk, and that is that we think that the future of care is not about technology. Technology will not replace care, but it is about the blended services that technology enable and help to tailor the care for all of our patients that we're doing this for, and basically offering them virtual care when possible and physical care when needed. I see hands still having to go up. Is it an installer or a developer? Those who had a left hand up can still stand. Those at the right hand, you have to sit down. Of course, development is a really tough job. Let me show you this. This is John, one of the people who works with us as an installer, and he is en route on a daily basis going to people's homes to not just install these alarming systems or these new video care iPads, but also having to explain exactly how they work to people, which if you walk into their houses, they literally show that healthcare today is not about using technology. So explaining them can be very challenging. Well, we also try and help our users with the challenges that come with adopting a new technology, such as an iPad. So the last question before the shootout is this one. How do we help our new users to adapt using new technologies such as an iPad? Is that left hand in the air, we install Angry Birds on the iPad to help them play with it. Or we broadcast a bingo from our own office. So right hand in the air for the bingo, left hand in the air for Angry Birds. And sorry, Mr. Angry Birds, you were right, but not anymore. We did used to install Angry Birds, but nowadays all we do is broadcast on a weekly basis on Wednesday afternoon and from our own studio, the bingo, which one of our service and support employees is doing for us, and on a weekly basis literally getting the balls and then showing them to the camera, and people will have a call using our video app to show the studio that they have built.
So that was a tricky question for me.
Why was it?
Because both of the answers are correct.
Both of the answers were correct. Currently, only one of them is correct.
That's why it's tricky.
That's what life can be tricky. Alright, then it's time for the shootout. FocusCura has existed now for 15 years. But we did win a couple of awards. The FD Gazelle is an award in the Netherlands for the fastest growing companies in the Netherlands. And I wonder, what do you think, how many did we win? 5, thank you.
4.
4,
6.
6,
3.
3,
7.
7. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a winner. The answer is 8. We won 8 consecutive Gazelle awards. So I'd like you to step in front and based a little bit in the theme of virtual care. This is a Google Cardboard headset with which you can make your own telephone into a virtual reality headset.
As long as the care is not virtual.
Well, so far it isn't. Yeah, that's true. Alright, thank you very much, and all of you are very welcome. Oh, sorry. And then after this, I have one more job, and that is to announce my well-renowned colleague and our CEO of the company, Raoul Saal, to tell us indeed about one of the biggest challenges we face whilst we started developing our own stuff, our own products, is how to work with customers who don't really know how Agile works or want to know how it works, but they do their own thing with it. And well, I think most of you are interested in this story, and like a warm round of applause for Raoul Saal.
Alright. Well, thank you for the introduction, Ruben, and also on behalf of myself, a warm welcome at FocusCura. I must admit this group is a bit atypical for me. I do a lot of lectures, but mostly that's for marketeers, sales, business development, operations, but it never is for project or program management or portfolio management. So you'll figure it out. This presentation will be atypical, I guess, for you as well. But at least we hope that it is fun. It does have a message. Hopefully you will agree with the conclusions, but if not, then hopefully you feel welcome and entertained here at FocusCura. So there's something for everybody here in the presentation. It's going to be with a high pace as well, so sit tight, hold on to your chair, 40 each. Off we go. The agenda, a brief introduction of myself. FocusCura we've introduced already. I was asked to elaborate a bit on Agile and waterfall and cases from the past. And also a deliberate part of the briefing was not to take FocusCura examples only, but also look at past experiences. Because I think we all pretend that the concepts of Agile, or the elements of Agile, or the elements of waterfall are all new, but a lot of the concepts and elements are actually, they've been around for quite some time, and they are now mixed and matched, and now it's Agile, and now there's a lot of consultants in this Agile environment, but not all elements are new. So I look at the past as well. Then I will focus on Agile and waterfall today. FocusCura is not a healthcare company, but we support healthcare organizations and we support patients and clients. So we are in the domain of healthcare. I can already tell you that's quite tough, especially as an Agile shop. I will draw some lessons learned, and you can take it with you and agree or disagree, but hopefully there's one or two elements in there, and hopefully some time for questions. Don't get frightened by this logo diarrhea. It's all not relevant. I was born in Holland, I live in Amsterdam, 3 kids, and happily with my partner for already 30 years. And on the right hand side, it's that's truly logo diarrhea. But it may be relevant for also the subject of today, because actually it's a mix of sectors, and it's also a mix of really small companies, even startup companies, and big corporate companies. And I've learned in the past that also when looking at project management, agile, how to organize methodologies, your context and the company you work for, that's already quite an important factor. So one company, project manager, program office, solution department, that was me, because there was nobody there. It was like, there's your desk, there's your phone, good luck. And in other companies, in other situations, it was all in place. Maybe as much as we have here today, already in the solutions department, for example, at Ascent. That's quite different. I will get to that later on. The last one is FocusCura. That's also part of the brief introduction. I worked in the fast-moving consumer goods, the foodstuffs. I worked in e-commerce. I've learned a lot. I've seen things work. I've seen things fail. All the lessons I learned. Unfortunately, I had to stay for 3 weeks in UC Groningen because our youngest, 2.5 years of age, was hospitalized for 3 weeks. We lived in Amsterdam and worked in Den Bosch, so that was really convenient to stay in Groningen 3 weeks. And I walked around with like 20 years of work experience, and I looked, wow, healthcare, all the concepts, proven concepts in other sectors, they were nowhere around. They were just not there, so I was really stunned, like, how is this possible? There's so many good things which we can introduce, and we can improve healthcare in such a great manner, but it's not happening. So that is the motivation also to start a FocusCura. Not immediately, as you can see, because this was May 2008. Just for your comfort, this was a couple of weeks after. The grumpy face here, actually he didn't speak for 3 weeks. He was really grumpy. He didn't speak to us, didn't speak to a nurse, he didn't speak for 3 weeks. And here, well, he saw the fun of it, because he was carried around all the time. And he's okay now. Agile waterfall. Some observations, not just conclusions, but observations. I'm going to take you on a ride. I'm going to flip through it as quickly as possible. Different cases. And the first one was at Friesland Campina. When I was briefed, discuss about Agile and waterfall, and think about your work history, and try to pick up some cases, especially where like the methodologies not coexist but even collide. Quite often they do. I had to think for some time, but then I came up with, there was one case at Friesland Campina, because we wanted to introduce baby food, infant nutrition in China. Why did we want to introduce? We have a strong presence in Asia, especially in Southeast Asia, in other markets in Asia, and we saw a lot of parallel imports. Actually, we saw baby food, infant nutrition products from Indonesia, from Vietnam, from all over the place, all Asia, with the unpacked promotions, with Vietnamese packaging flowing into China. In China, we had a local office or a local partner in Hong Kong, which at that time was still British. No operation in China, but it felt like a massive opportunity. So we figure out a strategy. Let's do it step by step. So I still think it's really funny. We selected 80 cities with more than 5 million inhabitants. Just the idea. That was not too difficult, because there's a lot of cities there, mostly coastal, 5 million plus inhabitants. And let's go there and take store by store. a lot of traditional distribution still in the Chinese market in the 90s, but also Macro, Carrefour, the big supermarkets were there as well. On paper, it all worked out. In Excel, it was absolutely a winning case. And we wanted to do step by step, which was quite unusual also at that time already. But China is planned economy. It's maybe the opposite of Agile. It's waterfall to the max because it's planned economy. So we had a plan. Every detail was thought of. We thought it was all written down. The distribution in place, production in place, packaging in place, merchandising teams in the stores in place. Everything was in place. We thought. We already at that time were thinking about start in Guangzhou near Hong Kong. Start with like the easy parts and learn and do iterations of initially 4 weeks, later on 2 weeks, and bring up the speed. So once again, on paper, it all worked out really well. However, everything was in place, and we thought we had all the permits, like FDA kind of approval, because if you bring in, it's kind of medical pharmaceutical marketing, and also in the permits you need to pass some desks. We didn't take into account. So everything was in place, and then the products were allowed to flow into the market. So that was quite some stress, but at the end we managed to get the permits and brought products in. And we thought, this is China, it's a planned economy, so once you pass the national authorities, you're okay. Not necessarily. There's also local governments also having an opinion, and also you need to pass on desk there. So everything which was planned to the max, it didn't work out. Not in one city and not in one store. So that was quite a headache. We tried at Friesland Campina at the time. We were pretty modern. In factories, we had self-organizing teams and all modern methodologies. And then we tried, also because we needed to, communication was really, really hard. Up country, in a city, with Chinese local teams. This is pre-mobile phone and the early days of email even. Communication was really hard. So by choice, but also forced, we thought, let the local teams figure it out themselves. We provide them the products, we provide them the tools, let them figure it out themselves, which is quite a modern thought, but also that didn't work out too well. It went all over the place, and then finally we were 4 or 5 months down the road, and then there was a dioxine crisis. I don't know, we're all, I see some hands nodding. That was the second nightmare. Our products could not enter the market for, I think, 6 to 8 weeks. Borders closed, so we had to cancel everything. So much for solid planning and project management, etc. Nothing, no product in the market. But we used the time efficiently because we had some results from the initial weeks. And what we already learned in Guangzhou in certain locations is the market is there. We already concluded from the parallel imports. But after the promotion period and pushing the product, the repeat sales was not good enough. And in baby food, loyalty is like sky high. Once a mother chooses a certain brand, they stick to the brand. So if repeat is not there, you have an issue. So we did research, and for me this was like struck by lightning, and also my like opening up as a marketeer, because we brought the products as they were to China, and they had in terms of products and ingredients and packaging, and it was all based on Dutch values. In Dutch, I don't know how many English are. In Dutch, it's as long as the kitchen is happy, it's okay. Positioning was based, and ingredients were based on easy digestion. The kid needs to be happy, and that's the most important thing. Dutch values. But in China, it struck me really. I was doing in-depth interviews and focus groups. It's a bit bold, but it was almost like whatever health and whatever happiness and whatever digestion, the kid needs to be successful. And in order to be successful, it would really help if the brain develops. The kid needs to be intelligent. So in terms of values and benefits, forget about digestion. It's not important. It's about brain development. Because I want him to go to this university, and if he wants to go to this university, he needs to go to this high school, and if he doesn't, and even they start with tutorial classes at the age of 2. I was shocked. But that was the value to aim for. So we changed everything. We took out all the inventories which were still on in the port from the IC prices. We changed everything, and we went back in. And then it was far more successful. One thing we learned from that is it was not the way we do it today, but there were some elements of iterations. Also in the initial idea, it was maybe iterative waterfall, or whatever methodology it was, but at least the idea of iterations, ideas of learning and applying back this information and change the product, the packaging, the ingredients or whatever. But we learned it the hard way, and the last iteration with a new product was actually in fast-moving consumer goods was pretty fast. It was within 6 months we had a completely different line with new packaging, new ingredients, new positioning, new communication materials, and then we went in. One of the main conclusions also is whatever you do, as long as you have a deep insight in for whom am I doing this and what are his or her or the organization's drivers, motivation, you need to have this insight, and once you have the insight, the methodology may be of critical importance still, but if that's the guiding principle, then whatever methodology, always keep the eye on the job to be done, the insight, and once you have that in place, then whatever the route, you'll get there, preferably with the team. Oh, that's
Some people like to climb out.
No, sorry for that. The second case, Booking.com. Friesland Campina was pretty professional, a lot of support and stuff like that. And just by coincidence, I landed at Booking.com, I think 1999. And basically, I was employee number 4. Nothing was in place. So that was quite different, and I've been thinking about a way to express what we did at Booking, and I think this says
Some
it all.
people like to climb mountains. I like to build planes in the air. I grew up going to build a plane. Why did we get this now? Sometimes the temperature up at altitude will be 60 below. It's crisp, it's refreshing. You never know what you're going to come across up there. Ready to be? Ballard? Owls? These people back here, that's why I come to work. That's why I build airplanes in the sky.
Brilliant. I can recommend Herding Cats. Look it up on YouTube. It's brilliant. Basically, the founder had been as it is today with all the glamour, and it's huge and professional. It truly is. But every company starts with something like this. And I think the message there is it's easy for a company like that. It's easy for a startup, because if you go flat on your face, you know, what are the consequences? If the site goes down, you miss a couple of hotel reservations, nobody dies. It's not a power plant exploding, or so it's relatively easy. We had a need for speed, and we had an appetite for risk, but it was also, there was allowance for risk. And I'm very much aware that's not the case for all of you. But still, there's a lesson in there as well. Quite often, you know, think about the risk at hand, and is it really that big? And quite often, you know, it's acceptable and just then maybe go for it. We went for it. Another thing which made it easier, it's e-commerce, it's a service industry, no physical B2C. They're all elements which I think make it easier to work in a, well, I wouldn't call that agile. That's probably, that was maybe, it was insane. But still, it worked. And we didn't go to production that much. Well, actually we did, but we worked on production, so it's different. But I think it's quite an optimistic story behind it, because even if you go flat in the face 30 times a week, there's set circumstances where it still may work out and you can move on. I invite everybody here, not if you build a power plant, but look at the job to be done, look at the capacity at hand, and maybe there's options to speed up. Then I said, I still wake up screaming. If I see this logo, I don't know. Anyone of SAP in the room? Now this was for me. I was working at Booking, and then I moved to Ascent. Well, you've seen the movie that was Booking at that time. After 3 years, it was a bit better. And then I went to Ascent. This was basically, it was a year before the market opened. They asked me to do marketing, sales, and customer services. They've never done marketing, sales, and customer service because it was not a free market. So then I asked, you know, I need tooling. I need stuff to work with. And then I said, well, we're all busy because we are actually not one company, but we are 13 local and regional energy companies, and we need to migrate all these ERP systems to one. And so whatever I asked for to do my job was, it will be in the next release. But it never was. It was never in the next release, so I really got frustrated. So what we did is, it's a huge company. The total turnover for my department was 1.8 billion, and big budgets, also marketing sales budgets. So I cut it with 10 million, and I said I'm gonna spend just over half of this budget cut, which we want to spend on marketing communications and all stuff, but we were not ready. So that would have been money not spent really wisely to build the infrastructure, to build the capabilities, but not in SAP, and actually not in the IT department available at Ascent, because they were really occupied, and everything, all the capacity, it was all migrations and other stuff. So we had to do it ourselves. So within the marketing and sales department, we had kind of a mini IT department, and we built marketing data warehouses, Oracle clusters, and stuff like that. And nobody knew about it almost. It was a stealth project. It was still waterfall, but the quick version of waterfall. But it was stealth as well, so that was quite challenging, I must admit, because there were some questions about the budget, and they wanted to do they wanted to have the reporting, but we didn't want to report that much. It was a separate team. They worked in almost 100% freedom, and I think I was an effective boss because I didn't know shit. I had no contribution whatsoever, so just think what you think is best, and make sure that we get the tooling to have marketing and sales in place. No, I can't. I still have difficulties looking at this logo. Yeah, the marketing team and the marketing IT team. It already at the time was a cross-functional team. We still had departments, but it was kind of a mixed version. But it was self-organizing altogether. Then the last one, I went from big corporate, massive program office, etc., back to the e-commerce. Went from being in meetings, I think 70% of my time, to no meetings whatsoever. And actually this was it. This is the Kanban board. We also had Jira, Confluence, but this was it. When I walked in early in the morning, I had a look at the wall, at the Kanban board. When I left later that day, I looked at the Kanban board again and see what changed. And this was the way we governed, steered, organized the company. But yet again, single product, B2C, e-commerce, digital channels, so there were all kinds of circumstances which I believe make it possible to work in this way, or make it easier to work in this way. Also, what helped is nothing was in place. There was nothing there. Actually, there were 6 employees. We didn't have own development. We took in Xavier. I think in the world of Agile, Xavier is a well-known name. We brought in Xavier, and just by coincidence almost, we brought in Agile. Started off with Scrum, later on moved to Kanban. We worked even with waterfall whenever applicable, because we also developed a white label products, for example, for AMD, for their travel products. So we were able to switch between the different methodologies, and the team was capable of doing so and happy with that. And this was for me also, I couldn't find a better graph. This is search volume for travel products in Google, which you see, and we all recognize that 2 spikes, late December, early January, and the last minute season. This is number of searches. If you look at value of the market, then right here it's a kind of an interbellum, but also there is midweeks, city trips, lower value transactions, and here it's a 2 or 3 week summer holiday with a far high value. So in euros, it's even more spiky, which also brought us to the conclusion. We need to have things in place before the season starts. So we flipped back to find quite a rigid form of Scrum. It was between Scrum and waterfall, kind of, but it was a methodology we figured out ourselves and which worked out pretty fine. But we needed to have things in place before the graphs were there. After the season, we went back to Kanban, and we also had a different rhythm. And then for the new season, we went back to Scrum, and that also worked pretty well. Yeah. Then in healthcare. I will flip through it quite quickly, but e-commerce, B2C, 100% digital, single product company. There's times that I'm longing for being back at a company like that. Don't laugh too loud. FocusCura is already a bit more complex, and also it's like every company. Also, FocusCura is struggling with Agile, waterfall. We have a development department, but we also have a more traditional part of the company, and it makes sense. But it's a struggle for us as well to apply the right methodology. But healthcare, we try to be an agile shop. Not there yet, but you know, we're moving and we're trying. But healthcare, there's all kinds of reasons why it is not agile yet. And I could probably fill a couple of more slides. But there's protocols, there's procedures, there's massively complex decision making units, structures. Anything flows are complex, data flows are complex, if applicable anyway. It's siloed, a lot of different systems, so the GPs have different systems, hospitals have different systems, and it's really, really complex. In terms of innovation, I think we just discussed a couple of minutes ago. In terms of also culture within the sector, if you choose to study medicine or want to become a dentist, then at the age of 25, you know what you'll be doing at 35, 45, and 55. This isn't the sector with the thrill seekers, which is relevant because at the end it all comes down to culture as well. When it's about innovation, to I think my personal horror, the first word almost coming up is, can we get some subsidy for that? I'm going to write a lot of paper, I'm going to apply for whatever fund and subsidy, and when the budget of the subsidy is gone, then the drive for the innovation is gone, and it drops dead. That's not how we look at innovation. You start again with the insight. Is there a strong insight? Is there real energy in this insight? A real need, a real benefit, real value? If the value is there, then at the end somebody needs to pick up the wallet and pay something for it. Recognize the value and pay something for it. And if that vision is not there, you know, don't bother. But there's a lot of projects still in healthcare based on subsidies. That's not how we want to work. Innovation also, they're really stubborn. There's real quality in there as well. They want to have clinical trials most of the times. And if you say, but they did a clinical trial at hospital A, and you are at hospital B, why can't you just agree with the conclusions from this initial clinical trial? And we are different. So we have to do a clinical trial as well, which makes it slow. The world we come from at Booking, but also Vakantie Discounter, which I just showed you, is we went to production at Vakantie Discounter a couple of times a day. We had A/B testing, multivariate testing, all kinds of testing, multiple per day. We had hypothesis, we built something small, granular as possible. We tested it, and if it didn't work, we took it out and tossed it away. A lot of trial and error, a lot of experimenting, like real experimenting, uncertain outcomes, but we are extremely happy with that. That was kind of a thrill. So experimenting is also part of, we believe, the innovation process. This is a cliche, but still it's valid, and we believe it's fun. I think in the Agile world, we believe that this is fun. But experimenting, if you are in the OR, you're on the table for surgery, well, you may want to limit the experimenting, or at least make sure that the way you experiment is organized in such a way that not too many risks at hand. So I think the way we want to work, or the way we work in product companies and software development companies, I think we can learn a lot, and healthcare can learn a lot from working in this way. But the way we work today in software development and being a digital product company, I don't see it happening, not in the next decade in healthcare, and partly with good reasons. So we should figure out what are the elements which we can apply, still taking into account the quality, the zero defect mentality, and all the things we value also in healthcare, but mix it with the elements of Agile. That's not easy. That's even quite difficult. It's difficult because applying the elements of working Agile is difficult. The transformation, the change management is difficult. But I think in healthcare even it's more difficult than any other industry. So there we are as FocusCura. Product company, to a large extent digital, product development. But our customers are healthcare organizations. So what do we come across? I think this is the case where we elaborate the most. We made it not too easy on ourselves because there's healthcare organizations, like home care organizations or elderly care organizations. There's GP organizations. There's hospitals, and it already becomes a bit more complex. And then there's academic hospitals. And we decided to go for the last one. That is tricky. UMC Utrecht, I think we don't need to go into detail. It's big, it's academic, it's really big. And they work with, I think, waterfall methodologies only, at least the way we experience it thus far. Before we started, before we even connected the first customer, the first client, we had, I think, discussions for 9 or 10 months. We had to pass 5 different security and privacy officers. We had lengthy discussions with even valorisatie officers because they thought that we were building a product on their behalf. So the code and the IP was UMC Utrecht's IP. So I discussed with valorisatie officers, trying to convince them that no. You buy our product and services, and you're a product company, so it's our IP, and what we bring to the UMC Utrecht, at least that's the basic idea, we're going to bring to UMC Groningen, AGA ziekenhuis, whatever. That's the concept of being a product company. But that was 9-10 month discussions. At the end we had a contract, which in total is a couple of centimeters. And then we actually, we had convinced all the people we talked to, but then we had to go down into the organization and the whole circus started again. Because they are so trained and drilled, and that's their preference. They are used to work with system integrators with a product management perspective. So completely different. So at the end we convinced the decision makers But when we start the project, we have to start all over again. Right?
What's the Agile?
Yeah, I would say a lot of things about it, but That's nobody from healthcare? Just checking? Nope. We are targeting high-profile customers because also from our end, we're just starting. This whole email thing is just starting. So we don't know. All of us, society, we still don't know to a large extent. We need to find out, and we need to test and try and iterate and test again and try again and build something new again and again and again. Then like another hospital is quite a challenge. But there's value in there because we need also the endorsement. So from a marketing and communication perspective, it does make sense. But that's high maintenance. It really is high maintenance. But we'll get there. Some of the discussions, and I think even today we still, also in the project, we still have discussions. A product focus, continuous delivery, continuous development focus versus a project focus. That's different, and we still discuss this even in every meeting. We need to, what is your position, what is our position? Try to mix both perspectives, and we've come to the conclusion that at least in the combination of Utrecht and FocusCura, mixing the models, it doesn't work. Truly, it doesn't work. So we need to figure out how to separate them and take away the interdependencies and still find a way to make it work. Agile waterfall, we just explained, and the position of we don't build a tailored product for you. We build a standard product which you can use and take value from it. But we're not going to build something specially for you. Also, that is easier said than done, and that's mostly because of the stage we're in. It's all starting. Also for us, we need to figure out, what is the standard, and what is special, and what is tailor-made, and what can we reuse at other hospitals, other healthcare organizations. We have to figure out a lot of stuff ourselves as well. But we're not a system integrator. That's for sure. But still, they said at the end of the year, when we discussed new work orders, they sent the same people out to us. And their starting point again is system integration. No, we're not. Basically, what we do at FocusCura is telemonitoring, allowing patients to sit at home, bring in the data, send it to the hospital or any other place he or she wants the data. Actually, now they have data instead of a paper logbook, which in 1/3 of the occasions patients forgets to bring it, and the other 1/3 it's not filled out at all, or just partly, or even if they bring it, what's the value if the specialist needs to flip through it right there and right there. So now actually they have something to discuss and come up with real treatment options. What was the idea at the Utrecht? They had different objectives. I have a couple of slides now focusing on our cooperation with Utrecht. Don't need to go into all the details because the most important thing is they truly see the value. They are truly motivated. They have different programs sponsored by the board of directors. And they can link all the initiatives also with us to strategic objectives of Utrecht. Also, that is of true importance for project success. Can we link it to the strategic objectives? They thought about it, and they can. way too much details on the sheet. No need to have a look at that. But what it shows is UMC Utrecht is an academic hospital. Only, in Dutch we call them the exoten, they end up at the academic hospital. So for example, in terms of, in the case of hypertension, I think they serve 250 or 350 patients. So that's real special cases, not too much. Their ambition is to be a center of excellence serving not just the 250 or 350, not all the clients with heart failure or hypertension in the hospital environment. At the end, it's even their ambition to, in some way or another, serve the total community of hypertension patients, of which part is not a patient because they don't even know that they suffer from hypertension, which is roughly 1 million. Once again, forget about the details. What it shows, it's completely new to UMC Utrecht. It's a bold ambition. So they break away from their even physical barriers and being a service provider, healthcare service provider, just within the walls of the UMC Utrecht, but they want to break out and be a specialist, be a healthcare provider, even in B2C. They've called it Connecting You, National Virtual Hypertension Hospital. So that's both bold. It does, we like bold ambitions, so it does energize, but on the other hand, this is a sheet I took from their own presentations, so they realize this is all completely new. And I mean completely new. Not just to Utrecht, but also to us, to anyone. It is not there yet. And it's a bold ambition. So what are we discussing? Are we discussing incremental improvement? No. No. This is on the right side, not just innovation, this is massive innovation. Looking at some ideas on how to go about when discussing these kind of big innovations. You don't want to do it like in the running factory. And we made I think we made a mistake there because the ambitions are there, and the project management actually was integrated into the division, into sort of the factory. When I discussed new innovations with the factory at Bristol Campina, the standard reply was, go out. I got my production, it's running fine, I don't want disturbance, get out. Yeah, but I got a customer, he ordered 100,000 cans or whatever, okay, I'm doing hundreds of millions, get out. And we're now discussing radical innovations, actually with the persons responsible for running a factory. I don't think, in hindsight, that's a very clever move. But also, we're now in discussions of bringing it from here, people in the division to set it aside. There's different models for that. Large organizations, sometimes they have even a corporate venture side, but we need to set it aside. This is so new, you can't mix it with the current operations. So this is one of the lessons learned. Also here, forget about the details. The way it was set up, way too complex. Way too many people involved, way too complex, way too much sub-projects. So also here, we got confused even before we started. We should, and we have already, we've crossed out a number of the elements here on the sheet. Make it simple. It's already massively complex, and if you organize something massively complex with uncertain outcomes with a structure like this, that's not going to work. This is, I think, colleagues at FocusCura start maybe hating me for showing this one again and again and again. But there's a misconception, not just at FocusCura often, but also at Johan. We just saw a mail of University Utrecht. We want to go to the first line, to the GPs. So we need to set a price for the GP, and then we're set. No, that's a different target group with different needs and different processes and different systems and different. So even if the product is there, which I believe is not for the GPs, you need to do a lot more to be successful. This is a pitfall. We focus so much, and we love to focus so much on technology and product, but that's just one component of the marketing mix. Or in terms of value proposition, the value proposition is so much more than just technology side of products. We're not even discussing augmented product. We need to do so much more. But we'll all be focusing also in the project on the product development. And there, I think Agile and waterfall, it was collision course, because we want to work in an Agile manner. They had a complete program office at place, staring at our department of product development and waiting for things to be released so that they can move on. That's not a good situation to be in. So we try to, and we're more and more successful in taking the dependencies out, have a different rhythm for the product development, and let the product team focus on all the other stuff which needs to be done, because then we can decide on our own rhythm, our own pace, our own methodology, which may differ from the product development side. Still, the pressure of the system integration philosophy, and I've stated this a number of times. It's a remark of a product company, Salesforce, but they have an easy job. Quite often I don't envy being sales or business development, because it's easy on a sheet, but it's not so easy when you're at the table of a customer with a lot of pressure. And also there, they are way beyond the MVP phase. They have quite a mature product. But this is actually the way we want to work. I think this is a pretty strong statement, and it's in the DNA of everybody in the company. You'll buy the product which is here today. And we'll continue to bring new features. We're going to do it the rest of our lives. Every day, every month, we're going to build the product, make it more mature, add new features, add new value, but buy what is here today. And you can bring in product features, feature requests, you can bring in bug reports, but don't make purchase decisions based on the backlog, because what is there today, it may drop off, or what is on the top of the backlog may slip down. But this is really hard in the phase we are today, because once again, we've come a long way already, but to a large extent we're just starting. The product is not as mature as, in this example, Salesforce. So the pressure will be there. It will be around for I think some time from now. But this is the way it should work. And this is an example in our quest to also convince, in this case, Utrecht. You know, please provide the feedback, bring the feature request, please, because that's up to you and the patients. But don't stick deadlines to it. Work ways here today. I think we addressed this, and this is just to show we've been in discussion. In this case with Utrecht, but this is just one of the cases we present. And we are still in discussion. This is pretty hard. It's a cliche. I have been looking for a sheet or not digital transformation, but agile transformation, whatever. But transformation is about cultures, and it's not a big surprise. Our culture is different than the culture of an academic hospital. We also made the mistake, I think, and you see also there, I think you're all aware about Agile in different forms and shapes, and waterfall in different forms and shapes. Reasons for failure, they're quite often related to culture. I think it's funny because even myself, I tried to convince Utrecht to flip around and become agile. But I draw the conclusion that's not going to work. It's too big. We're not also part of their team. It's not one team, which is also, of course, an important element. So that's not going to work. And in our quest to change the mindset of Utrecht, which actually in hindsight is ridiculous, we took the world on our shoulder. We should. Some lessons learned. They come in all in once. We are a mission and value-driven company, and you've seen the starting point of Utrecht, which is also a bold ambition, driven by a mission to provide better healthcare, which is wonderful. And we meet in our ambition to realize, to make it happen, is better healthcare. So that's a good starting point. But don't stick a deadline to it. Even today, discussing the sheets, they still stick a deadline. We want to realize this in 3 years. Well, maybe you can stipulate this ambition in 3 years, but it's the mission, it's the journey. Don't stick a deadline to it. Another very important thing is truly understand the insight, the why. What are we trying to accomplish? What is the job to be done? And if you have that as a guiding principle, the methodology is still of relevance, but once you all, and the whole team has this guiding principle, you know exactly who do we do it for, and what is the objective, what is the job to be done, then it will fall into place. Don't move in too early. I think we moved in too early, and that triggered a lot of discussions and a lot of deadlines. The start is the MVP, but the MVP is not the technical side of the product. Also there, more needs to be in place. This is a personal perspective. Be pragmatic, and especially be situational. Once again, the job to be done, but also the capacity, the capabilities at hand, and decide what is the way forward, including methodology or a sub-methodology or a mix of methodology. There's more ways to lead it to Rome. Improving fine-tuning works well. but in my experience, especially when a team work type context is relatively stable, and if not, and in our case, we go left and right all over the place, then probably rule number 4 is applicable. Look again, what is at hand, what is the job to be done, and make a new decision on how to organize. Mixing in hybrid systems, I've come to learn is really, really hard. Probably best to take out the dependencies and allow for different rhythms. And if you mix, that's tough. But make sure you're still linked. Let me see. Assess the project types. That's the strategy. Yeah, this is the last one actually. No, one more. Do try to understand each other's position. In our case, was trying to convince each other that the other ones should move. I don't think that's very clever, but don't be a missionary. And we try to be a missionary. We try to be agile apostles, but we're not going to push an organization like University Utrecht to our position, not in the next 10 years. We want to be partners, so we need to understand each other. Clear on the customer relations. That's all the product pitfall. I think we discussed too much focus on product. Pick a mix. Maybe I'm too pragmatic. I'm not a purist or even a fundamentalist. There's good elements in different methodologies, and it's perfectly fine in my view to mix. Pick the toolbox, whatever works. And this is coming from software development and single product companies and digital product companies. It's agile, which makes sense, and only the waterfall is old and buried and maybe the other way around. And in companies where waterfall has been successful, where we introduce agile, not all transformations succeed. So they spit on agile, and it's going back and forth, which I think is ridiculous. There's good elements in both. Look at, once again, the situation at hand and pick the proper mix, even in some occasions. But don't be a fundamentalist. Flexibility, situational intelligence, and creativity, with the insight and the end in mind, and then you should be okay.
I guess there are any questions for Laura?
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Lee, I'm from Deloitte. Give an example about Salesforce. Compared to what you do, for me, Salesforce is in a different ecosystem. Their dependency on other vendors or clients are not much. It's easier, much easier to deliver your product in a agile way. In your case, in similar cases, you are in an environment or in a framework or in an environment which you are dependent on others and others are dependent on you. You mentioned dependencies and you mentioned that you have to allow 2 rhythms in order to reduce this dependency. What are the means of doing that from your point of view? If you want to do 2 things right now to reduce that dependency, what that would be? For example, a very, very simple example I would say is, in the old days people used to design websites. Each part of the page, let's say, was designed by a different developer, and they were depending on each other to finish the page. But then they introduced frames, so everybody can work on its own frame. So whenever the job is done, it's done. So they reduce the dependency. What kind of moves like this you can do, or you suggest people to do to reduce that dependency? in that complex environment.
Well, I think the main dependency we want to avoid is the dependency of releasing new features and any other item on the list in the project team. I think that's the main dependency we want to avoid. And I think conceptually, the difference between Salesforce and us is not that big. They supply a software product which is used by organizations, even local organizations, to support their processes, and basically that's what we do as well. So conceptually, I don't think it's too different. Of course, in size, and also they have a big platform with app market and a big ecosystem, and we may be one of the elements in their ecosystem. So we position differently. But basically, we're doing the same. We want to build a great product, not just a software product, but the augmented product, adding value to customers. So we depend on customers seeing the value and willing to pay for it, like Salesforce. And also the mechanics of getting the feedback, getting the feature requests, assess them. Are they sufficiently generic? Do I want to build this? Also there, I believe, and I think we all believe, we should work in this way. But it's for us, it's difficult because we're just starting. We're not so mature as a company, but as a company we are, but as a product, we're not that far yet.
So can I rephrase it in this way? If your product is mature enough, then dependency on those features are less, so definitely you can be in a better position.
Yeah, I think this phrase, this quote of the Salesforce Business Development Guy is a way to take out the dependencies. Keep product development aside from the cycle, the rhythm, the methodology, even the rest of the product. But you can do that once the product is at least far enough in the eyes of the customer.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for your speech. And I think what I learned from it, looking at the FocusCura people, that the fight Agile and waterfall is not worth fighting. You need to take the best elements of things. And that means probably that you're going back to waterfall in order to put online better for the rest of your life. On Tuesday. Alright, we'll have a 10 minutes break and then we'll go and challenge his statements again with
So, good evening. It's not my voice fault. Cold last couple of weeks, ups and downs, so the whole fault. I'm only else sometimes. Let me introduce myself. I will talk to you about how Agile is your customer and how Agile are you. First, introducing myself. Agile coach, trainer. I do Agile project management training. I do Agile transformations of customers like PostNL, ING. I've been to Safety DSA, marketing here in software for the housing companies, social housing companies. And all those companies wanted to transform bigger than just one team. Up there was with Adrian Bennekum, that's my colleague. I worked with him for 4 years now. He is the end time. Years ago, he went up to Agile transformations and doing Agile from PSDM. I will come to that later. We were there in the Sberbank in Russia, in Moscow. And that's a big bank. And that big bank started the transformation from hearing good things about a bank in Holland that did something with Spotify model. Which bank am I talking about now?
ING.
ING. They say it all the time. We do the Spotify model, we have some model there, do things. The one guy that was implementing it, Bart Slotman, I don't know if you know the name, Bart Slotman, he was a high guy in the ING bank, when he started that and did some transformation there, the Russian came in from the Sberbank. Do know Sberbank has 350,000 employees in Russia. That's a big bank. And when he started that, he invited them to come over and see the factory there. How do we do this? How do we do that? And the bank said, oh, we want that. We want that same agile transformation. So they bought Bart Slaterman. He's living there now. They started off by just saying, okay, implement it. You're here now, implement it. I think he got a big check towards him, but go implement it. Okay, some moments later, they just realized that it's not just implementing an organizational transformation, just an organizational new structure. It's a transformation of the mindset. So we did that on Sberbank. We did some training there, but still they wanted this Spotify model, just like the bank. I have found with colleagues, team of colleagues, all coaches in Holland. We have 25 coaches at the moment with Womenity. 25 coaches. Womenity is already in France, in Brussels, Belgium. We're there about 350 people now at the moment. So we're growing. I'm from Rotterdam. I have a bit of a Rotterdam accent. Not terrible English. So sorry. But I love this town. I'm also a DJ. I do that in the evening sometimes, most of the times. And I like to longboard. And this is in Harderwijk. Anyone from Harderwijk? Anyone knows Harderwijk? Okay, that's good. There's a parking garage there, and it goes 7 stairways down in the ground. And on Sunday, because it's religious area and they're religious, it's not allowed to have open shops at Sundays. So the parking garage is also empty. So they decided, well, let's do something with longboarding then on the Sunday. So we do some longboarding there. You can 7 verdiepingen, floors. 7 floors of boarding all the time. You step into the elevator, you go up, you go again. So agile. Of course, the next step, I do it all for my family. I have 2 daughters and a wife in Rotterdam. They don't want to be in the picture. And I don't. So, how agile are you? Some questions for you. Stand up. Oh shit, another word. So, who's doing any kind of agile at the moment? Oh, good. So the other ones that are not doing it, please sit up. No, and sit. Who's doing Scrum? So the other ones can stand up their chair. Because if you hear Scrum and the dominance of Scrum, they think they're doing Agile. And I will tell you in this presentation that it's more than only Scrum. It's more than only a team that's developing things. It's about the business connected. It's about the representation, the rules set by company. I will exactly go where you went with your hospital. That they have rules, that they have other cadence, they have other speed. So sit down. There were a lot of people standing, so there are some people that understand a bit of Agile or have heard something about Agile, but there were also people sitting, so there are people that do not know or started on page 16 on reading Agile and think they know it could be as well. Why Agile? Why would you need Agile? It's those 4, and I only have an hour. The training of 8 PM is 2 days. And I will not fit 2 days in 1 hour. I can talk very quickly, but not with this voice. and I will definitely not fit 2 days in 1 hour. Well, it's all about the technology, innovation, the speed to the market. Who knows the Pokemon app? Who has got the Pokemon? Did you use it? Who did use it? Cool. Me too. Pokemon Go, the app. But the technology and the innovation of that, the short product life cycle, it all comes within the Pokemon app. If you wanted the Pokemon Go app, you had to go to, before it was on the Dutch market, you had to go to Australian product market or the App Store. You had to create an account there because over there it was already on the market, but not in the Netherlands. And my kids wanted it, so I had to go there and I had to create an account. But I was stupid. Why not in Holland as well? And my friends with Android, they already had it. Okay, so I created the account. All of a sudden they were running behind. There were really rats in our kitchen. Yeah, I don't know how that thing, yeah, but there were rats and all of a sudden everything was happening all over Pokemon. But it was gone that quick as well. Yeah, my kids played it and they ran after rats and I don't know what they tried. But all of a sudden they didn't like it anymore. There are still people running around, yeah, with that thing. Yeah. So, yeah, there's the dream. But also, the globalization of all the stuff, that you can get it somewhere else, yeah, much quicker than in Holland. Wow, it's implemented here, because I had a rat in my kitchen, catch, it was implemented. Holland was already on the map. And still, Holland, the Dutch App Store, did not provide it yet. Now, where was the difference then? Where was the problem? The problem was not that they couldn't provide it, well, no, it was just not allowed, or it was just not allowed in Holland, and they had to check it, all the rules. But all the things, like the product of, and that's why I show you the Nokia's here. Yeah. Why is Nokia not on the market anymore, or not so very well on the market? Yeah. Who knows it? The what? They didn't use Android. Well, what else? But they were gone all of a sudden. Yeah, the market share. No touchscreen. Yeah, they're all singing. It was the best, and they are the best. Well, it's not up here, but if you know the 316, yeah, the 6310i phone, yeah, they say if in 1,000 years when aliens will abduct here, and they will find us in stone and I don't know what, 100,000 years, and they will find such a phone, and they put on the button. Yeah, it will work. Half battery. Yeah. So why aren't they there yet? Because they did not manage to follow the market. They thought they had a good product and everyone liked the product. They stayed on their product, on their belief that their product was good, and did not continue to the next one. So you have to speed up. You have to go with the flow. Well, I have to. Yeah. Hospitals. Why do they have to go with the flow? Well, you do have to react on if someone gets sick and it's in your sickness, do something. But still, it's another pace, another different pace than it is in other countries. I will not take you to the full stuff, but know for me, all those things can't be needed, because if you don't go there, you will not follow, you will lose your market. And if you need to change, if you need to follow, and you have to do something else. No, sorry. When you want something you never had, you have to do something you've never done. You have to change. You have to change your way of working. You have to change the way you looked at things before. How can you do that? Do interrupt me with questions if you have a question about the thing, but I will be very short, because to be honest, be very short on yes but. most of the times if your question is, how can you do that? How can you follow this market? How can you be upfront? Yeah? Focus. It's just focus. It's very easy. Yeah? If you decide to do something, create some focus by what do we need? Everyone knows what they want. I want to fool this, I want to fool that. I think when you go to the hospitals, they know exactly what they want. But when you come to it, is it what they really need? Do they need everything that's in Salesforce? Or do they just need a couple of parts of it, but they get the full Monty and they have to implement it? They need other things than they thought they needed. And also, prioritizing. There's a piece of prioritization that's very hard for companies. Prioritize on value. Prioritize on why do I need it so quickly? What is value anyway? Is it money? Or is it time to market? Or is it just because the competitors are way ahead? Is it the value there? It's very hard to get that. Prioritization.
We're really building up attention here, Angie.
So,
You build up attention, we are really looking forward to the difference between Agile and waterfall and
yeah.
So
Yeah, okay,
I
yeah.
think-
Okay. Need to go.
Trying to find the link. I'm curious and always in need.
As well. So, by focusing with limits, by focusing frequently delivering, but still don't deliver if you don't have anything to deliver. Don't deliver if it's wrong or it's not tested. And create quality by having discipline. Just follow some routines. Follow ceremonies. Do some deselecting and select. Discipline of that. Discipline of ceremonies is so important. If you don't follow the ceremonies you have agreed upon, you will not get to a higher pace. You will not get to a higher pace of delivering the needs. Well, there's some other things there, but they're too in-depth, like the pairing and the refactoring, but they go very in-depth. The pairing about doing together on behind one keyboard. Does FocusCura do something like pairing? Or, actually, that's really a thing. It looks expensive, but it's really good. And Agile is an interaction concept. And an interaction concept to stay in touch. So if he says the customer is not helping us by delivering better and more and does not give feedback, you have a problem. You will have a problem by getting better yourself. So not only the customer with what he needs, but also you as a supplier needs to have some improvement as well. Because if you're not improving, they will never get an improved product. Well, strange, because they say, well, here's the contract, we paid for it, and at the end we see what we get delivered. And then there's the paradigms. All the paradigms have these, but it's the things that they will never work here. It will never work here. New way of working, it will never work here. I will hear that a lot. It will never work in the nuclear factory. Agile, because you cannot deliver frequently. Yeah, it's true. Don't deliver if you don't know it. Yeah, that's sure. If you're in the hospital, don't deliver if their lives at stake. But still, the way to get there can be very agile. The way to get there as a team building, early feedback with the team. They're all needed, they're all in the ceremonies, they're all in the discipline. So, going very quickly because I only have an hour. Did you put the thing on? No. You did it with your boss, man. Trust time management. So in here, if someone is saying I'm doing Scrum, why I'm doing stand-ups every day, I'm doing Agile. You're doing a piece of Agile. You're doing a bit of Scrum, you're doing a bit of, I don't know what comes on. But all those things calling themselves Agile are underneath this umbrella of Agile. who has questions with this one? Because there are some things that you might never heard of, like that, or less,
Yes,
less for
that
example.
sounds good to me.
Less that.
Less than, yeah. It's,
That's
no, but they're really their own methods. Oh, there it is.
Is not considered to be agile anymore?
Why not? Well, I don't know.
I don't see it.
Okay. That's cool. Cool. I just spoke today with Ivar Jacobson. He's one of the founders of RAW.
Okay.
And yesterday I spoke with him, and he was, and that was funny because he is promoting killing all methods. And that was really strange. No more wars with the methods, but he says kill all methods. So, thank you for the question. But Rob, sorry, was not on the list of the Agile manifesto. Going here. Because Rob was not there, but the UML guys were there. Yeah? Not to be agile, in a way, it's more developmental. I guess, have you seen this picture sometimes? No? You know where this goes? No? Let me tell you. In 2001, all those guys from those different things, from those different methods, went to Snowbird in 2001, and they were arguing a lot about, okay, mine is better than yours. I know the one with the DSM, he's not looking like this anymore. I'm a medical from the DSM consortium. He was there as well, and they were talking about, well, mine is better than yours, mine is better than yours. Well, he's saying that was not true. They were really looking at, well, are we agreeing upon? What are we agreeing upon on the things that we do the same? Why are we here? That was the first step to the Agile manifesto that they wrote. So all those things you see here, even this very busy guy here, yeah, Jeff Sutherland from the Lean and Scrum perspective, he's very dominant with Lean and Scrum. If you hear Scrum, yeah, they say, oh, we're working Agile. Okay, we're on to that. But they came to the Agile manifesto. Who does not know this? By heart. No, true. All those guys.
Yeah.
Zo niet erbij. Those guys came together and they say, okay, we have to agree upon what are we doing together, what are we doing the same. They're all iterative, they're all incremental building or something like that. And what they said, and not only the 4 rules there, not only the 4 values, but the first rule on top is the most important one. We are uncovering better ways of helping others by doing it and helping others do it. In this work, we have come to value. Ze doen het dus allemaal proberen te They do it all. They try it all. They tried it all. They had to do it all. They had to know what the other one was working with or how he was working. Otherwise, if you say, I'm better than yours, yeah, it wouldn't work. So they try to explain to each other that those values they have here are the same for every method. Some people say it's outdated. It's never outdated. Individuals and interaction over processes and tools. How can that be outdated? It can be. You need interaction. You need the interaction with the customer, you need the interaction in a team, you need the interaction with another team where you have dependencies with. You need the interaction. And if you have tools, it will take time and days before you get a reaction over the tool. No, go for the interaction. Working software with comprehensive documentation. Who's writing a lot of documentation, or is project writing a lot of documentation for the maintenance of the tools they are creating. And you see it all the time. But if it has value, or you have to deliver it, but why not bring in the people, the interaction, bring in the people that need the documentation, they write it themselves, because they can write exactly what they need to know instead of what the program thinks that they need to know. And program can, the developer can develop and keep on developing, and the maintainer or the operations guy, he can write down what he needs for operations. Customer cooperation of contract negotiation. So it's customer is in, contract is out. It will not only be good for you as a supplier, but it will also be good for the customer, because he's not starting the contract as well. And that's a strange thing, because that's happening at the moment. I see a lot of companies that really hate the fact that they started a contract, and after a year, when they have to change the way, the speed, because the market is asking something else from them, they still have this contract. And PostNL, when they're working with Salesforce, they have a contract. Sorry, big contract. But they already know what they get in 2 years from now. They already know what they will get in 2 years. And they already know that they are not able to change the path before that 2 years. Know from me that PostNL, where I work at the moment, they need to change in 2 years, because it's going downwards very quickly with the post and with the post services. So they want to be responding to change, overfollowing the plan. All those rules are applied. All those rules are applied on all those methods. Oh yeah, some animations I created. We call it solutions now. It's not only on software development anymore. You have it for schools, you have it for marketing companies, and also we have Agile in healthcare at the moment. We already gave some training there, but still it's not there yet. So solutions. I'm not going through this all because then it will be very long. I will come to the point of where does it end with the customers. From the values you have the principles, and principles are, you just go there and have some look at it, because they're all helping you in getting towards the agile way of working. It will have something for you all. We'll only pick one, it's the easiest one. Working software is the primary measure, and I have some animation there as well. Working solutions is the primary measure of the progress. If you keep on delivering, but it will not be working, they will not be happy, because they will not feel that you create value or quality. Going to this one. Who does not know this one? I don't dare to say it. Up here, there's the mind shift, the paradigm shift of the mindset of Agile. And if I say to you as a project manager or whatever, if you have it like the left side, where the features are fixed, who's saying that he always delivers on time inside the budget, within the budget? Who's there to say that? Always. Because I think it will not be true. I think no one has the same idea about what's, it's always changing. And when it's changing, I need more money. Or something happened, why we couldn't have the budget in time or the budget in time. Something happened. So why not make the features variable, make them selectable, create some MVP stuff, the minimal viable product, start with that. From that point on, build on with increments. And when you build on incrementally, Yeah. Why not set the time and the cost fixed? It's an easy one. Who's having a problem with that? Who's thinking it will be problematic?
Situations, yes. Right?
Speak up.
Situations where you just need it for the future as solution at a certain time. Implementation of a law or implementation of a security situation or whatever. I think that the future is what you have to, that's fixed.
Yeah. But it's still, you're okay with the time and cost are fixed. Because you say on that time it has to be developed, ready, fixed.
Can you make
Finish.
some situations you want to have the future fixed and don't care about either time?
Interesting. So you make only the cost variable.
Sounds like a government project.
But to a certain degree though too, if you're saying that waterfall, you have to have a fixed amount, so it's $1 million and that's it. Would you not explain though that there's a level of confidence based on the number of assumptions that you've made? So,
Assumptions.
yeah.
Why assumptions?
Well, you
Why
have
no
to,
learnings?
sorry?
Why no learnings or learning features?
It might just be terminology, but I say assumptions because in planning you have to make the assumption that certain characteristics will meet what you're projecting or predicting.
It's a good idea, but it's really the thing that's happening at personnel projects with those amounts of money, and they're saying we're gonna create fixed times and not a year, but a fixed time of, well, let's say a quarter. And what type, what teams do you need? Well, we need about 3 teams for this and this and this, and we create some, well, slack there, of course, we need some slack there. But we will keep the money, and we will get the time of this quarter of an hour. But we will work agile, we will iterate, we will incrementally develop, and come to the point of quality that we desire.
So it's a mixed methodology then?
What?
It's a mixed methodology.
I've never spoken about any methodology. Maybe?
It's just a tricky question again.
Yeah, I come to that in a But what does it say about quality? Iterative, incrementally work. It says that they have the opportunity to give feedback every increment. And if you give feedback and it will be delivered the next increment shortly, yeah, the feeling of having some influence on the quality is bigger than you hear it after a year. It's not working like we want it to work, or it's not what we thought we wanted. So incrementally work will create more comprehensive working. No.
More chance for quality.
Sorry?
More chance for quality.
No more chance for quality, no, quality about the feeling of the customer. Because he is collaborating on the outcome. On the outcome every increment. The feeling of quality is higher than the feeling of the quality over a year. Because he says, oh, I thought that I wanted that,
But also the quality then.
the quality of the product.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, sure, because the team is learning as well. But we're not talking about that one here. Quality of the product will improve as well, because the team will improve with the feedback. So it's a good point. It's not what we meant here. Here's the aspect of the customer. The customer that's collaborating on the outcome. Another thing that's happening a lot, and then there's some dominance in the agile domain. That's Scrum. Who's really into Scrum? Who has the Scrum master? There they are. Where does the backlog come from?
From the product backlog. Is it a sprint backlog or a product backlog?
Product backlog, sprint backlog.
Backlog.
And what are user stories?
Well, they all come from the product or the table.
Yeah.
Some ideas.
No. All things that are happening with Scrum is that they're all like you had the slide with deliver fast, deliver, feel fast. Yeah, someone said that, and Schrader maybe. And all the other ones. Jeff Sutherland, he is from the Scrum Guide or the Scrum.org. Yeah, and he has only this 20-page document, Scrum Guide, and it says product owner is responsible for the product backlog with backlog items. That's it. He's not saying where they come from. What do you need? You need rules and legislation. You need requirements, and the requirements come from business visionaries or business sponsors or all those people, all those stakeholders. All those stakeholders are not mentioned anywhere within the Scrum Guide. So we need more from that. We need more from that to do Agile. If we have customers, they are on the side of the functional requirements, but also of the non-functional requirements, because they have rules and legislation where the tool has to go, where it has to be implemented. If you want to have something that they never had, well, you have a problem with an OSNL, but with a tool that they cannot have in their operations. It will be too expensive. So Scrum, and that's why I wanted to point this out, Scrum is the only thing that's a lot of development companies do Scrum with their teams developing, but they need some level of business, proxy, product ownership to go there, to go to this customer. So I heard it in the last presentation. There is something to do within the customer if you want to have this happening as a development company. If you're doing Scrum and you don't have the business visionary or the business sponsor in your team, you will have a hard time with dependencies, you will have a hard time with all those stuff, getting it implemented or adopted within the company that you're building it for. About roles and responsibilities here. Who knows this one? I have great. 2, 3, couple of ones. Yeah, I'll try to explain this one because it's a bit more than. It's my time. A bit Dutch. Yeah. It was for the OSNL, and I had to change it to Dutch, and never changed it back to English. Roles and responsibilities in an agile way of working. So, if they ask for a snowman, and I will go very quickly within this, but it's needed to make a point about why do you not only have the development team, you need more. Because if you need more, you need to have an initiative. Knowing the initiative. Why do I do it? At PostNL, the big initiative at the moment is the moving services, the house service. It's the biggest one they have at the moment. Why? It's about data of families. It's about data of families and the companies where they have their data. It's not about sending my mail from the one to the other one address. No, it's about gezinssamenstelling. Je weet daar een Engels woord voor. Family, community, gezinssamenstelling. So how does a family does it look like? And the mama goes that way and the papa goes that way because that happens sometimes. You don't have one address, no, you have 2 addresses where the post has to be sent to. So that's a big story, that's a big problem. Because the one girl is going to the other address and the one boy is going to that address. So the Tina, Tina has to go with mommy because the kid was going there and the kid was going that way and the boy was going that way. So the Donald Duck has to go that way. But also Papa has the BMW and Mama has the Volvo. the BMW post has to go that way. So that's a whole different ballgame than just sending the post from one address, not anymore to the other address. No, it's changing to digital transformation. All of a sudden, it's not about sending post anymore, it's about digital transformation. The initiative of this guy was, I have a big idea, because I will collect this data from the people and I will inform the companies like the banks and like, I don't know what, everyone that the customer says, I want that information to that company. I can inform them, so they don't have to do that themselves. PostNL can do that. It's a very good solution. Still, it's a new solution, it's a new way of thinking, a new way of working for PostNL. So this initiative needed a lot of legislation, rules, enterprise architecture, the new legislation about you cannot send all the data to everyone, to all companies you want to share. Or, wait a minute.
It should be all the way around, right?
Hmm?
It should be all the way around.
What should
Not from the government to the post.
yeah, but still. Sorry for you. Still, there are some rules. Yeah? When you do something that's automating stuff that people were needed for, and you have to get rid of the people. It sounds very hard, but it will happen. You need modernization services or I don't know what. You need HR to come up with all their rules and all their rules of how to handle that. You need that in the project as well. But that's the opposite side of the initiative. Yeah, it's the cost side, it's the cost side, and it's the legislation side, it's the rule side. So the business sponsor, the one on top of it, he says, I'm very happy with the idea. Business has. I'm very happy that you have business ideas and that you have initiatives, but I do have my rules here, and all the rules we have to follow. And before we go there and we go to the team and we let them realize this new house service, moving services, we have to gather them all. And that's where it goes very tricky when it comes to Scrum. Because in Scrum, you only have to product owner. It's the only guy in the role that knows where to get all those materials, all the stuff. He is in the team. He is the one handling all the stakeholders. And he's the one in the team handling all the stakeholders from the legislation, the functional requirements, but also the implementation part, because that's something that needs to be done. And what if it grows? What if it grows? You have fantasies. So within the snowman that I showed you, here's the initiative part, and there's the legislation part. Somehow, trying to change all to user stories or backlog or sprint backlog. And down under there are tasks for the people to realize. So in the neck of the snowman, you have some polygon or some polygon part. What's that? You have some polygon part. Down under you have this realizing team, but you have the customer side as well, or the business side, I would call it in the SDM part of the Agile. And what if that's bigger and you have dependencies and you get scaling? We'll go very quickly now, but that's because it's probably more than 2 days and you go for scaling. But it's getting bigger. You need to arrange something when it gets bigger, when you get dependencies with other companies, with other teams, with other tools just within one company. You have some scaling to do there. We'll not go in this because we don't have the time for that. But thinking about scaling, seeing dependencies with teams, go for scaling Agile and learn something about it. But do know it's a very big framework to learn it. And to so, if someone is asking for this snowman, how to implement it, is not just a model that you say, okay, come up with the names of the team and all the people, stick them on it. No, it's about responsibilities within the team. Those responsibilities are how to get the initiative towards functional requirements and how to get the rules to non-functional requirements. How to get all those towards user stories that the team can realize. Yeah, we're back. That's a good sign. Huh? No, we're not going back. So when we did this at the Hotel, and all of a sudden, management was telling them, okay, but what was happening then? You are at the board, we have this redundant meetings. What you see here was Linda. Linda is now working at the NATO, and she was there with her project board, with her project steering board. And she was there at the board and she said, I will stop with the steering board, the steering committee from the project. If we want some steering to do, we have to join the board. We have to join the board to collect the information. Because if I'm doing something wrong or if I'm asking something that I don't know, I should not do that in a separate meeting. I should be on the board as well. Next to the board, when people say I have a problem because it's the second time that I'm asking something from the SOC people. I'm not getting it. I have a problem there. And she said, okay, did you ring them? Yes, sure. 20 times, but they don't have time on their backlog and blah, blah. Okay, that's an escalation. I'm the manager in business and I'm the business sponsor. This escalation I will take with me because it's a very important project within OSNL. And it's more important than, I don't know, let's not call them, but it's more important than the old one. Something with house services. That's a terrible project. So she's there at the board and she's deciding for them that she takes it from their plate, from their work, from their impediment will be hers. She will take it to the board where she decides this has more priority. And that's a big step. That's a big step that not every customer and not every business sponsor is up to. They need to see why they need to do it. And this is only within a company. So this is the easy part. This was within personnel, with development at the site. But what if, oh, no, that was forgetting what it was. So what she was doing was turning it around also. This is the new paradigm shift that I was talking about. This is the leadership paradigm shift what she was doing. Because she was giving a lot of trust to the team instead of giving them functions, descriptive roles, like Raki says. Like Raki says. Good song. And everyone was felt held accountable. It's not responsible, not held accountable. There's a whole lot of difference between feeling responsible and held accountable. On the left side, in the traditional way, you say you have to do this because it's in your hierarchy description. You have to do it because you will not get paid if you don't do it. You get fired. The agile way of thinking about management is why not give them the result? And as a team, you have to fix it. All of a sudden, and I heard it in the last presentation as well, all of a sudden there will be responsible as a team, feeling responsible. And they will get them to do situational tasks. All of a sudden, the developer, the operational staff, the operational guys will work together. They are not talking about you have to do your operational stuff, you have to do your development stuff. No, together as a team, we will fix together the increment done. All of a sudden, they will get roles instead of functions. They will form a team. Responsibility. Whole team. So, nou zien. Ja, laten we wel zien. Laten zien wat hij op het scherm laat zien, wat hij hier laat zien. Dit is op het scherm.
Twee schermen.
Hè?
Twee schermen.
Oh. Ik weet het wel.
One of those.
Anyways. But when you're talking about this head of the snow and this belly of the snow, the realizing part, I call it, what we call it, Agile world calls it, iterate to done, iterations to get things done. But when you have the customer as the one that needs to help you to get the stories ready and the things ready to get it done, you need their help. And if you're saying that the customer versus support versus supplier is both agile, it will be great. It will be great time because you will be very collaborative. On the other side, it will be two waterfalls, so it will be way harder to get them together because the one waterfall is ended, then the other waterfall will start. That's the part where you go wrong, because if the one waterfall ended, then it comes out and goes to the customer, then that waterfall needs to come out and goes to that customer, back to the supplier, with the feedback, and you go over again. All the same for the other ones. I heard it saying already, if the customer is not agile, but we are agile, are you really agile then? Because are you really developing value at the moment they need it? And the other way around as well. So if you go into the manifesto, just go back to the manifesto and see the 4 values. Always go back to the manifesto. That's one tip for me. Always go back to the manifesto and get the discussion out. Because what are we discussing about here? If both are agile, agile manifesto applies fully. But if the one is non-agile, the customer is non-agile, and the supplier is, will get or respond on the interaction or the interaction on the deliveries you have. Increments are not valued because if you get an increment, they will say, it's not the end yet. I will only see what the contract is saying at the end. Other things like when the supplier is non-agile and the customer is agile, we have that in PostNL, a couple of suppliers. No interaction possible. The worst thing there is that they will wait for the functional requirements to come up. And that's a really hard part. A customer that's saying we will want to work agile, we want to set the time and the money, we want to get it settled, but we need some interaction concept. And the interaction concept is, yeah, you're the business, so we're waiting for the requirements. That's a hard part, because that's really not working as well. And that's really frustrating for a company that wants agility. What do you see at the moment in PostNL? They're saying goodbye to the deliverers, the suppliers that are not agile. That's a hard part. Who's delivering to PostNL?
It was delivered.
Yeah. But truly, it's happening. It's happening. They have some supply management. They are really setting up new contracts about agility. And that's a hard part because they are learning there as well. They have some learning points there as well. And the other one, well, interaction via documents, solution areas, over budget, if both are more agile.
But these are really worst case scenario, right? Are you suggesting that basically all projects which are run traditionally are always over time or over budget?
No, I asked already Are you the one that's, well, that raises his hand? Because I said, most of the time, maybe you have one project that's on time and on budget, but most of the project leaders will say it's always ran over budget and over time.
Personally, I do not agree with that. But okay.
And you're the lucky guy, or your
No, it's
customers.
not about money, it's about planning and defining budget and defining time.
The opposite is also the question.
Right, sorry.
So the opposite question, are all agile projects,
They're always on time.
they're always on time, but are they delivering the features that create this?
No. Features are not fixed, no. The goal is.
No, finish that. No, I just wanted to say though too, that if the reverse is, to your exact point though too, is that no agile project, you know when you're gonna get what you want.
No, what you need, and that's the difference.
But still.
No, I disagree. You don't know when you're gonna get what you need either.
Yeah.
I will not have the time enough to discuss it up here, but it's really the difference between what you think you want and that you really need. It's about selecting, deselecting value, have the values or somehow the values on your user stories, on your epics, on your themes that you want to realize for your feature. And that's the thing where everyone has a big problem creating that. I know only a few people, business people, that are very adaptive to being a part of the team as a business guy. And he's not saying, I want once a week with the team on the board. No, he's 2 times a week. And he is having all those KPIs that he's discussing. He's having the orders that are growing. He's having all those KPIs. And he's explaining why he wants this feature, because it's growing here. He's explaining that all the time, why he's having this one instead of this one. And they switch around in priority, because this NPS was going down after the last delivery. So the business guy is really involved in doing this, and he says, I don't care, I don't need this feature. If I have this feature, it will get more value to me. And that's the way of working in Agile. And it's not about once a week, once 3 weeks. And it's not about maybe this file service, it did not go live 2 times. That's strange. It's an Agile project, and it's maybe one of the most mature Agile projects I know. And they didn't have to go live. No, because there's a lot at stake for personnel if they want to go live. Too much at stake. They're not Google, they're not Spotify. No, they're talking about 35,000 people working there and needing their money at the end of the month as well. It's a different cookie than Spotify. Well, Spotify is a bit bigger now. Going on to what about the team? Because that's the thing. If you work with the customer, with the development supplier, at personnel, they don't have developers in house. They have for every tool or what they have a supplier, so they don't develop themselves. So all suppliers need to be at the place with the customer or in a team with the customer. Maybe that's strange. They all go to dust and nubs and things with the customer. Personnel creates an environment for that. So if they're both agile, all agile roles apply fully. All agile roles. Sponsor, visionary, but also the business ambassador, the one who's implementing it in the help desks and all the ceremonies will apply fully, and all the artifacts will apply fully. We'll not go deep diving into this, but it's about the ceremonies like stand-ups and things. But what if the customer is not agile and the supplier is agile? How do you involve business then? How do you involve them? And I think your presentation was long enough about knowing that you can involve them enough, and you will have to pull them towards your solution that you want to deliver. Oh yeah, but you said you will deliver at the end of the year, and now you're asking me again to come over every 3 weeks. But it's really like that. I want your input, I want your feedback, because I want to get better, and I want to deliver exactly what you need. I want to deliver value. Prioritization, it's very hard to do. A development company cannot prioritize themselves. If you ask me what's your priority, I will do the things that I like most. Yeah, well, that's not value for the company. And the other one, the customer working agile and supply with agile, well, same there. Yeah. Maybe work with milestones, more frequent milestones. It's more waterfall again. It's a waterfall because you deliver, you only give feedback, and all the same, still not with the contract, still not all what you're asking, not all that we had in the contract. Yeah, but we had to change and we had to be adaptive to change. It's not in the contract. Customer not agile and supply not agile. There will be no learnings, there will be no improvement, there will be no team. It's just a group of developers developing for the customer. And when it's ended, well, it's delivered, but it's over time or budget. So what's happening, and this is maybe the analogy. It's about dolphins and submarines. Why don't you talk about dolphins and submarines? And if you say, okay, maybe we know that a submarine has need more time to deep dive than a dolphin. And the dolphin also, when he jumps up, he can tumble and I don't know what, and he goes down when he wants to eat and he needs air. So he's allowed to do it like he wants. But if you know that this customer or this supplier is a bit more submarine and he needs a bit more procedures to get acknowledged or known with the way of working with Agile, your way of working with Agile. And the other way around, if the customer says, okay, we are Agile, we are a dolphin, we want to go quick. Oh no, this developer, supplier is not working Agile, and they're always deep diving and then they're gone and I don't see them anymore. And they need tons of procedures and contracts negotiation to get changes. We don't like that. Well, you have something to do there. Something to do there could be looking for dolphins. Customer can do that, but as a developer, a supplier, you will have a harder time there. No. And then, well, the non-agile versus the non-agile supplier customer, that's two submarines. And let's hope they're from the same country or the same country or the same battle, but if they're not, you really have a problem because they will get some war there down under, and you don't want that. They will deep dive and they will, maybe one can come up, but the other one will not. So, no, I will not go into this. This was my thing about how companies and how Agile versus Agile and customers and suppliers can handle with some things. But there's more into it because it's about training, it's about being transparent and being transparent and do it all over again. If you don't have the transparency, you can never take them with you. You have to do it all over and all over. That was it. Thank you.
Questions? No more questions? You did a good job. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I have a few logistical things to close the meeting with, which is again on the small screen here. First of all, we are still looking for volunteers. We need somebody that speaks very well Dutch and can write good in Dutch. Anyone? Nobody can?
For translation.
We have translation work to be done. We have a very nice and ambitious goal, and Wim is leading this effort, so if you can talk to Wim after this. We are translating materials. Yes, please, Wim. We are translating materials for the education fund, so to teach children, let's say, about project management. And and the
Education, foundation, academic outreach.
and the academic outreach as well. So go to schools with materials that already is there, but then we need to translate to Dutch, then we can get a little bit more exposure to the profession of project management. Then we need also volunteers for, this is good stuff, now all the hands will be rubber, because we need, Josephine, how was it again? For beer meetings?
No, social media volunteers. So if you're interested in social media stuff, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, yeah, please help us. And we also look for volunteers for organizing events, all kinds of events. So
I remember beer events.
yeah, we used to call it beer events, but now we say it's a network and drink. So basically, it's just an informal meetup events. So if you're interested in your location to organize it on behalf of the chapter, yeah, please contact me.
Yes, please. Okay.
Now we also look for deputies, of course, for our board members. So if anybody is interested.
Deputy, yeah, sure. So deputies, all different roles in our board need a deputy. So volunteers, very nice to do, nice team. Then we have a last announcement from Eric, who's our director of
development, professional development. So we're looking for ways to bring our members together. And part of that is mentoring and being mentees and mentors.
Maybe you want to stand up from
yeah. Just before I get into that, and I'll be very short, how many people have always had the question like, oh, I'd like to know somebody who knows more about this Agile or stakeholder management or something like that? Just put a hand up.
Experience?
Everyone who has some knowledge that they could share and earn some PDUs with. Probably a lot of you. Yeah. So
that's good. Yeah. So you got knowledge, you can share it with the people that are looking for it, and you have a discussion going.
Yeah, and you can earn PDUs while you're doing that, having a drink.
So then you don't have to come to the meetings anymore.
You do need to provide some proof that you've done that. So there's some information on the PMI website for that. But I mean, it's not a difficult way to earn PDUs.
It is nice, and also nice with visibility and the discussion.
Now the challenge is, everyone's out there, everybody's doing their own little business, we're all in different companies and so on. So to try and bring people closer together, we've initiated a forum on our PMI chapter website. So that you can put either, oh, I'm looking for this kind of information, or somebody with this kind of knowledge, or I have this kind of knowledge and I'm willing to share it. So just a way to post ideas, and so people can go there, look, they find what they're looking for, or post what they want to get out of it. We'll be advertising more and more information out of this, but if you go to the PMI chapter website, it's on the top right-hand corner, you'll see forum, you can just go in there. And it's just starting out now, but if you're interested or have something, go take a look. Okay? Thank you.
And then already mark your agenda, your calendars for this. We've got a few events coming up. We're still trying to plan those. We have Arcades talking about their project management approach. They selected ISO 21500. You could say they are the first to do so. Of course, it's a new standard, and PMI has contributed for 75 to 85% of that standard. So it's already a little bit familiar. It's more high over. It is still not an official methodology, it's a guideline, but it's very interesting to hear what Arcades has to do on this, and we are still struggling to find the location. Location is something that is also, every time I want to ask you, help me find locations, such nice locations as this. Thank you for that. For next chapter meeting, so if you know, we know maybe next time the team from Yokohama is going to help me to do it at their location. Anyway, but let's talk. We're looking for locations, and another sponsor event is about bimodal business agility in project management and prediction for 2018, which is a sponsored event. Now, if you have a nice topic for an event, let me know. But more importantly, we have already in the room Lars Bezos. How do you pronounce it in English? I don't know. Lars, please stand up. Lars is new director of events. He's going to be your guide next year, 2018, to do these kind of events for us. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks again, my speakers. The host of the evening. I normally have this little ceremony of bringing you a nice bottle. And so I'm going to send it to you. Let's have the network and I hope to see you next again in January.